Good afternoon. What is cerebral palsy? Let's start from there before we.
Cerebral palsy is a movement disorder that occurs as a result of an injury to a developing brain. Now, just in a layman's language, it's like this inability of the child to move properly because of something that must have happened when the mother was pregnant or at the point of delivery or just after delivery. So it is an injury towards a developing brain
Okay.
that affects the movement. So the child is having problems moving and carrying, performing motor activities because of as a result of this injury.
Okay. So does it mean that this condition has nothing to do with the sin of the mother? Because there is a myth that cerebral palsy is as a result of the sin of the mother or the sin of the parents. That's why God is punishing them. What do you have to say about that?
I've had patients, either mother or father, tell me that that it's as if it's a consequence of what they did, but of course not. Medically, something must have happened. Either
Okay.
maybe the child had jaundice that wasn't properly well treated, well managed. Most of the time, that's another thing. When a child has jaundice, they will tell them that they give glucose water, or they don't come to the hospital to know what should be done. It's not properly treated. It can result in cerebral palsy, or the mother had prolonged labor, and most of the time too, this prolonged labor could be from they've gone to a prayer house or they were in church having, and the labor is not progressing. Instead of them to quickly go to the hospital, they must have told them, if you go to the hospital the baby will die, so the mother is there struggling to have the baby. Eventually the baby will come out with this brain injury. So there are specific reasons, and not because of the sin of either the mother or the father. Something must have gone wrong in the process of during pregnancy or at the point of what delivery, which can be avoided.
Okay. So another year and cerebral palsy has nothing to do with the sin of the parents. So it's what can be done for this patient? What are the areas that a physiotherapist can help this patient to recover and then by improve the quality of life of the patient to get better and then
Okay,
face his
the
life
first thing I
challenges?
want us to know is that the management of cerebral palsy is not just by one professional. Importantly, because this injury has happened to a developing brain. There are so many parts of them. There is the motor function that is affected. You can have their they can also have problem with nutrition, eating, and all that. They can have speech problem. They can have bowel movement. So many things at can show up at every point in time. So it is not what one professional handles. And then another thing is because of the possibility of them acquiring what we call abnormal movement patterns, it is important that they seek help early. That is where early intervention comes in, so that the brain does not register this abnormal movement pattern. It's the abnormal movement pattern that makes it look like they wriggle like snakes. Those are them exactly. So when we begin to see them on time, we administer early intervention. We are able to prevent this abnormal movements from coming in. Now, what are the things that we can do? It is in the way they are handled. They have a problem controlling their movement, controlling their muscle tone. So if they are handled properly, we help them to be able to perform their activity with the least amount of energy. That way, they don't become stiff. You see them, they just go stiff like that, and if they keep exerting themselves over and over again, it's difficult to perform activity. So that's what physiotherapy does. Physiotherapy helps them to work in, to move in a very efficient way, that you are using the least energy as much as possible to help them achieve. So it looks like they are slow, but then that helps them to achieve the movement and prevent other complications from, movement complications from setting in. At times too, when these children are kept like that, they are not moved, the joints are not moved regularly, the joints become stiff, or what is called it to just be fixed in an abnormal position. There are some of them who may not be able to recover but can use what we call assistive device like a wheelchair.
Okay.
Now if they now get you know stiff in one position, you will not even be able to put them in that wheelchair.
Wow.
And if they are able to sit in a wheelchair, maybe use a finger, like I've seen a person, someone with an individual with cerebral palsy, who wrote his work just with one finger punching on the laptop. So if for instance the joint have become stiff, he won't have had that opportunity. So what physiotherapy will do, ensure that the joints are as mobile as possible, you maintain it, and then you also help movement to be in such a way that it is not exacting, as efficient as possible, and teach the mothers to how to handle, how to carry the baby, so that or the child, as the case may be, so that movement is as efficient as possible.